Oh, it's nice. Hi, everybody. Oh! You got a little bit on my mic, it's okay. Ooh, she's bursting. Oh my goodness, it's bursting. Hope you guys like that. Hi, it's been a little bit. I don't actually know how long it's been. I make videos very sporadically. I've toyed around with making, like a second, I don't know what the proper phrasing of, like, when you, is it re or re? I did that update to my plans motives for my dark days. I'm thinking of doing that again because I'm kind of getting back into the swing of, like, enjoying creating. And I'm actually, like, writing some stuff, which is kind of cool. I hope it's still real full. Hopefully it'll come to fruition relatively soon. I'm currently drinking a little baby can of Fresca. Little baby. It's only 222, so like 2/3 the size of the normal cans. Because you can't get the 355 milliliter cans right now, and you can't even get like the 500 milliliter or whatever the 500-ish milliliter bottles that I was drinking more recently. You can only really get the 2 liters, and my mom found like 3 cases of these, so she got them because apparently there's an aluminum shortage, and there was like a COVID outbreak at a Coca-Cola plant, so they're just not producing Fresca because they don't care about me. They don't think my needs are important, and that hurts. But I mean, like, I don't mind this new size. It's nice and smaller. I will take it. Oh dear. We're reading Little Miss Ditzy or Dottie, depending on your region. Ditzy's the U.S. Dottie is the Dottie's British, and then Canada's the unholy love child of both cultures. I'm really tired. So like in often Mr. Men fashion, it's not like sleepy tired, but just like mentally tired. But in good Mr. Men, Little Miss fashion, I will be reading this in my most delusional and vulnerable state. So, I mean, I guess I have less Fresca to drink this time. I guess I'll probably actually down this whole thing by the time it's over. Gotta say, I miss Fresca from the can. Like, it doesn't taste that different, but like, there's a little bit of a difference in just the way it like sets up in the plastic bottles versus the aluminum cans, and like, the smaller size I think also works for it. So like, I'll take Fresca in cans any day of the week. Fresca, call me. Anyways, onwards and upwards. Little Miss Ditzy, Dottie, whatever. By Roger Hargraves. I believe this is one that he actually wrote. Alrighty. Welcome to Nonsense Land. You may have heard of it. It's where the trees are red and the grass is blue, where dogs wear hats and birds fly backwards, and where Little Miss Ditzy lived in the middle of Whoopee Wood. I have to say, this exposition might be the best exposition I've seen. I need to back up my microphone a little bit. I'm making the audio angry. Maybe. Okay. This is the best exposition I've seen in a Mr. Men book in a while. This is the picture depicting Whoopee Wood and Little Miss Ditzy's house. Oh, I'm getting burpy. Oh dear. That didn't take long. This is some of the best starting exposition in a Mr. Men book. By far. Very nice. Mwah. Chef kiss. I'm immediately intrigued. Nonsense Land? Mr. Nonsense? Is he gonna show up? Oopsie daisy. Is he gonna show up? I am so sorry. This is actually horrible. I bet, like... So, I would like to sincerely apologize for the amount of vile burps I'm gonna be doing through this. But it just wouldn't be Mr. Men without a Fresca. Alrighty. Let's continue on. Nonsense Land really is quite the most extraordinary place. Why did I say extraordinary? It's extraordinary. Everyone says extraordinary. Nonsense Land... Nonsense Land is really quite the most extraordinary place. If you ever come across a worm wearing a straw boater and wearing a bow tie, you'll know you're in Nonsense Land. So if the worms look like they're in barbershop quartets, you're in Nonsense Land. I also didn't know that kind of hat was called a straw boater. But that might also just be a British thing. I don't know. The worm? Intrigued. I know he's not a main character, but, like, intrigued. And if you ever happen to catch sight of a pig playing tennis, you'll know exactly where you are. Won't you? That's right. Nonsense Land. I'm loving this. Look at that little pig playing tennis. Oh my gosh, I love this book already. This is so much fun. Look at the little, he's getting it. He's doing it. Look at him. Look at them. Look at them. I like this a lot already. One more? Oh. One morning in January, little Miss Ditzy was having breakfast. A bowl full of marmalade with milk and sugar. While she ate, she was reading the newspaper. She read the Nonsense Land Daily News every day, and always read it while she ate her Ditzy breakfast. Something in the paper caught her eye. She stopped eating and started reading. Intriguing. I'm having a good time with this so far. I just want to keep going. I'm enjoying this. This is fun. Nonsense Land, take me there. The headline read, Nonsense Cup winner, and underneath it said, this year's Nonsense Cup for the silliest idea of the year, a green tree, was awarded yesterday to Mr. Silly by the King of Nonsense Land. Runners-up were Mr. Muddle and Mrs. Nincompoop. Next year, continued the story, the Nonsense Cup will be awarded not for the silliest idea, but for the dottiest idea of the year. Tell me more about Mrs. Nincompoop. I know that's not a real one. Mr. Muddle's real. Mr. Muddle is a book that, like, I have, and, like, he's a real Mr. Men, but Mrs. Nincompoop is not real, and I would now like to start a petition to make Mrs. Nincompoop real, because I just need that now. Anyways, just an extreme close-up of Miss Ditzy's face. I don't know why they changed it from Dottie to Ditzy. I don't know why they do the translation things, because they don't change the words in the book. Like, obviously they change it to Ditzy in the book, but, like, they didn't change it to the ditziest idea. So I just don't really know. Yeah. The dottiest idea of the year, little Miss Ditzy thought to herself, as she popped a spoonful of marmalade into her mouth. I bet I could win that nonsense cup. After breakfast, she set off for a walk in Whoopee Wood to think about this and that, but most of all, to think about that famous nonsense cup. She has a goal. She will not stop until her goal is met because she wants that nonsense cup. And can I blame her? No, I would want the nonsense cup. On her walk, she met Mr. Silly. Congratulations on winning the cup, she said to him. Oh, it was nothing, really, he replied modestly. Little Miss Ditzy thought about telling him she was going to enter next year, but then she decided not to. Will this come back to be interesting? We see Mr. Silly looking rather smug. Being the smug guy he is, just like, oh, it's nothing. Also, Mr. Nonsense didn't win the Nonsense Cup. That's gotta feel bad. Like, I don't know the relationship between Mr. Nonsense and Mr. Silly. It either has to be very friendly or very competitive and horrible. Alternative, enemies to lovers. Literature can't get enough of that dynamic. Anywho. January passed, and February, and spring came, and the bluegrass grew. But could little Miss Ditzy think of an idea? She could not. She just couldn't think of a single dotty idea. Now we've introduced conflict. We've introduced the goal. Where we've had exposition. We've introduced the character. We've introduced their goal and their motivations. And now we've introduced the conflict. No ideas. What's she gonna do? Summer came to Nonsense Land and went without a single dotty idea in mind. And the red trees started to fall and the red trees started to fall from the trees. It's nonsense land, so I'm gonna let that one slide. Then, one afternoon in late November, little Miss Ditzy thought of her idea. The dottiest idea ever. She's now seen jumping for joy. And you know, I'm just, like, I don't have much commentary right now. I'm just enjoying this. The year ended, and January arrived in Nonsense Land. A huge crowd gathered as usual in the square to see who had won that year's Nonsense Cup. The king of Nonsense Land mounted the specially built platform, and a hush descended on the crowd. He's gonna hand out the Nonsense Trophy. Look at that guy. He's a king. That's a king. You know that's a king. Also, I didn't take Nonsense Land as a monarchy. I would have thought it would have been like an anarcho-communist state, but I mean, like, I just didn't think it, but you know. Ladies and gentlemen, the king announced. Again, it is my pleasure to announce the annual winner of our famous Nonsense Cup. As you know, he continued, the cup will be awarded this year to whoever has had the dottiest idea of the year. The crowd held its breath. Big face. One of which, the king went on, has been entered by Mr. Nonsense. The crowd looked as Mr. Nonsense held up the dottiest idea for all to see. A television set with no screen. It's for people who don't like watching television, he explained proudly. The crowd clapped. However, continued the king, we have an even dottier idea from last year's winner. You didn't have to show up Mr. Nonsense immediately. This is the television set with no screen. I respect that, you know? And you could just stare at the wall, or you could just stare at your, like, non-existent television set. I think that's cool. Sometimes if I swallow the Fresco wrong, it, like, burns a lot. That's all I have to say. Let's see. Mr. Silly triumphantly showed his invention to the crowd. It was a clock. If you look at it in the mirror, it tells you the right time, he announced. The crowd cheered, and Mr. Silly felt sure he was going to win the Nonsense Cup for the second year running. But, continued the king, and Mr. Silly realized that he wasn't. That's rough. Oh, I wonder if the clock actually looks right to you guys. It's supposed to be backwards. That's a shame. I guess the limitations of front-facing cameras. Anyways, let's continue, whatever. But, said the king again, we did announce the Nonsense Cup was to be awarded to the dottiest idea of the year. And this year's winner has provided us with, he paused, 999 dots. Little Miss Ditzy held her breath and blushed. Hurrah! Roared the crowd. Follow me, said the king. We now see little Miss Ditzy. I'm just gonna call her Dottie because it just, I don't know why they changed it. Because the story really hinges on dots. Like, the climax hinges on dots. So why did you change it from Dottie? You know? We see little Miss Dottie. She's flustered. She's blushing. She's like, ooh, me? The king and little Miss Dottie led the crowd through Whoopee Wood to her cottage, and there they stopped and stared. Little Miss Dottie had spent the whole month of December painting dots all over her cottage. Hundreds and hundreds of different colored dots. 999 to be exact. Little Miss Dottie counted them very carefully. Or had counted them very carefully. That's a lot of dots, remarked the king, as he handed over the nonsense cup, and the crowd cheered. Thank you, your majesty, she replied, and blushed with pride. Her house do be dottin'. That's what I like to call a dot house, because it has a lot of dots on it. Oh, one last thing. If you're as good at counting dots as Little Miss Dottie, you'll be interested to know that there are 193 small letter I's in this story, and there are 193 dots on top of all of them. I should know, because I put them there. A fourth wall break? There's no more picture. That's the end. Wow. So how many? 193 lowercase i's. Wow. What a nice way to end it. I got it. I dropped it. I gotta say, I liked this. This was just fun. I just had a good time. There's no moral. It's just pleasant. It's fun. Dots. And the nonsense cup. I want to win the nonsense cup. This is just fun. This was just a good, wholesome time. This has made my evening better. I have nothing else to say. So I think it's better I end this now instead of rambling for too many minutes. But, well, thanks for joining me. I enjoyed this. I liked this a lot. This was very pleasant. I hope you enjoyed it as well. And we'll see you next time. Toodles. Bye-bye. Cheers.